By the 9 and 4, I welcome you to the library. In this entry we will be going over some of the races of the realms. Please note, as always, in this series, these are just brief introductions. Each of these races has the deep lore and history that will be expounded upon in future entries. That aside, let us begin with the elder races, the oldest, and created by the Nine Wings himself, or at least that is the legend. The dragons, very recognizable to any who have explored multiple realities, large, reptilian, and greedy to a fault. The difference you find within the realms is that the dragons are not merely brutish, greedy worms that desire to dominate all they see. They had the purpose of keeping the species of the realms strong, and not to fall to laziness. In short, their purpose was to help keep the realms strong. Whereas their counterparts, the Analar, tall, lithe, winged humanoids who possessed the powers to bend reality through a force known as grace. Their duties were to help the realms grow intellectually, philosophically, and morally. How well they did is a matter of debate. However, the initial races that they were intended to help were created by the gods. Amongst them, the Dwarves, masters of mining, metalwork, engineering, and crystal craft. The Elves, who within their deep forests mastering their archery, their magic, and their culture. The Gnomes and the Halflings travel in large entertainment and trade caravans across the various continents, bringing whimsy, joy, and essential goods throughout the realms. Alongside these races are those that have evolved through more natural means, coming out of the primordial soup themselves, offshooting, and creating their own cultures. Many of these races were termed as savage in the old days, and still today many of these species fit that description. Antagonistic to all civilization that is not theirs, and unwilling to even treat with the other powers of the realms, generally viewed as monsters. Sizable proportions of these species, and in fact entireties of them in one case, have joined the cause of civilization and enlightenment. These species are known as the enlightened races, and count amongst their number the orcs, who, as brutish and less gifted in the intellectual pursuits, have found great profit and great fame in joining the rest of civilization. The Goblins, an early offshoot of the Orcish race, itself one of the first races of enlightenment, led by their deity, as well as the scale-blessed, commonly known as kobolds. They were led into enlightenment by a deity of their own kind, Meekin the Mighty. Unique amongst the enlightened races are the Rodkin, a rodent-like race, humanoid, crafty, but at the point of their discovery early in the Age of Stars, they were already civilized and more than willing to join the greater realms, led by Eo, their anointed one. Beyond these races, there are a number of races that were created either by other races, typically the Analar, you'll come to see this, or through machinations of mortals. One of the most famous of these is the Dragwa, a draconic-esque species that is tall, powerful, and bred for war. Despite this, with their various subspecies, they prove to be one of the civilized world's most staunch allies and mightiest defenders. The Crystons, another creation of the Analar, are bio-androids. Their bones made of metal, their nerves made of crystal, and their brains created from something called an Oni-Crystal. The nature of Crystal, how it works, and what it is shall be expounded upon in the future. Don't you worry. Alongside the biomechanical, fully intended to be sapient Crystons, we find the Celestials, originally intended as only a mechanical drone race, no sentience, just the simulation of it. They have evolved that sentience and are amongst the realm's greatest workers of geomancy, literally able to shape planets when put out in force. Alongside them, we find one of the shames of the Analar. While the Dragwa could easily take this title, the Dre Sai are a far more secret and unknown shame to them. Deriving from the wars of Feather and Scale, the secrets to the creation of this large, powerful, and utterly unapproachable races has been lost to most histories. They only seek to be left alone. Besides them, we find the Man'ari, a creation of mortal mages, the details of which are foggy, as it appears to have been an example of co-emergent magical science, as the Man'ari are the fusion of a normal humanoid being and sylvan spirits. Next, we have the Boskin, a civilized species of feline humanoid composure that resides primarily on one of Jamamar's moons. Beyond them, we have the more recently created races. The Cognati, or Pashnet, depending on where you know them from and which faction of them you may know. Metallic beings, fully made of a strange substance known merely as cognite. They are sentient and have unusual abilities to send, receive information and individuals through a sub-pocket of reality known as cog space. After them, we have the beings known as the Shifting Sentinels. These hail from the ancient empire and are amongst their most powerful of wardens and rule makers, able to take the shape of quite literally anything, mimic its abilities, and enhance them to a degree that is nightmare fuel for any that would fight them. Finally, for the crafted races, we have the Preators, a relative newcomer, only having been crafted, created, and introduced to the realms since the beginning of the Age of Stars, specifically after the discovery of the Expedus ships. They stand taller than most races that are not Analar, and they are wise, reserved, and seemingly dedicated to the simple cause of helping everybody else lift the realms higher. And that, my friends, is a brief overview of the majority of the races of the realms. I can hear you already asking a question. Where are the humans? Well, to be expounded upon later. To answer it simply, which ones? You have the humans of the realms, the natives of Jamamar, known as Flameforged, as well as another breed of humanity from another galaxy, known as the Teltechians. The Teltechians were happy to merge with the realms when they were discovered and rediscovered in the Age of Stars. Their initial discovery dating all the way back to before the Wars of Feather and Scale. But the details of them, as well as all the others that we have discussed today, shall be expounded upon further in the future. Thank you for your time and your attention. In the 9 and 4, be well, take care of yourself and each other.